everything changes. Everything is in constant flow. Everything moves. You can't step into the same river twice. Because the second time, neither the river is the same river, nor are you the same person. The only thing that never changes is change itself. Heraclitus. If football is a river, then believe me, countless waters have passed since that first kick, and they still flow. What's more, some of the biggest changes happened just recently. But here's the thing, when you're too close to something, you don't always see how much it's changed. It's like raising a child. You're with them every day, and it takes an old photo to make you realize just how much they've grown. Meanwhile, an uncle or a friend drops by after a few months and says, "Wow, look how big you've gotten." Sometimes, when you're too focused on the big picture, you miss the details waving at you right under your nose. As you watch, you'll see how much the game has changed, even in the last 20 or 30 years, and how the main characters of this story, the players, have adapted to survive in this evolving arena. You'll witness how even a tiny tweak in the rules can set off a chain reaction that reshapes tactics, coaches, player roles, even club identities. This is a story of transitions, from the sidelines to the center circle, from black boots to GPS vests, from number 10s to false 9s. And where do we begin? With the one thing that touches every single aspect of the game, the rules. Who makes them? Who changes them? And why? We answer all that right after a short break, for those of you who'd like to hit like, or maybe even subscribe. Although there are many different claims about when and by whom football was invented, according to FIFA, the earliest scientifically documented game resembling football was Cuju, played in ancient China between 300 and 200 BC, originally as a form of military training. The first time the game began to be played under a defined set of rules was in 1863. That year, with the rulebook established by the English Football Association, football's long journey of transformation officially began. Today, over 160 years later, the game has gone through countless rule changes, big and small. For instance, in its early days, the goals consisted of nothing more than 2 vertical posts. Regardless of how high the ball flew, if it passed between those posts, it counted as a goal. In that form, football resembled rugby more than what we recognize today. It wasn't until 1875 that a horizontal bar was added to those vertical posts, giving the goal its current shape. That same year, another fundamental change was introduced. To neutralize environmental advantages, such as sunlight, wind, or uneven terrain, teams were now required to switch attacking sides at half-time. By 1886, the International Football Association Board, better known as IFAB, was founded to establish and manage the rules of the game. Initially formed by 4 countries, England, Wales, Ireland, and Scotland, FIFA joined the board in 1913. Since then, any change to the laws of the game requires a 3/4 majority vote from the board. Among IFAB's most revolutionary changes were the introduction of the referee and the penalty kick, neither of which existed before 1891. And to reduce disputes over goals, nets were first installed behind the posts around that time as well. In 1896, the laws of the game were published for the first time, consisting of just 14 articles. By 1930, this number had increased to 17. The clarity and simplicity of these rules played a crucial role in football's journey to becoming the most popular sport on the planet. By 1902, the penalty kick, originally allowed to be taken from any point 12 yards away from the goal line, was now restricted to a fixed spot, the penalty mark. This same era also saw the introduction of the goal area and the penalty box lines, and roughly a decade later, goalkeepers were restricted to handling the ball only within the penalty area. Until the World Cup held in Mexico in 1970, referees would verbally caution or send players off, but as international competitions expanded, language barriers emerged. Players often struggled to understand referees who didn't speak their language. That's why the yellow and red card system was introduced in that very tournament. However, it's worth noting that referees were hesitant at first. Across 32 matches in the 1970 World Cup, only 45 yellow cards were issued, and not a single red card. Fast forward to the World Cup in 1982, 99 yellows and 5 reds. And by the 94 edition, 225 yellow cards and 15 reds. Clearly, referees grew bolder in using their cards over time. But this trend also revealed a troubling pattern. Teams trying to play positive football were increasingly stopped by tactical fouls, disrupting the flow of the game. Among all the evolving rules of the last 160 years, the offside rule has seen the most significant transformation. In the 1860s, any player ahead of the ball was deemed offside. In 1866, the rule shifted. A player would only be onside if at least 3 defenders, including the goalkeeper, were between him and the goal. This number was reduced to 2 in 1925. Then in 1990, to increase goal-scoring opportunities, the rule was amended once more. Attackers would now be considered onside if they were level with the second-last defender. Few rule changes have had such a deep tactical impact. The modern interpretation of offside revolutionized positioning, defensive strategies, and the entire shape of the game. During the same period, new concepts like denial of a clear goal-scoring opportunity and serious foul play were added to the rulebook. From that point on, players committing deliberate, aggressive fouls or stopping opponents with clear chances on goal were to be sent off without hesitation. As you may have noticed, many of the rule changes introduced from the 90s onward were designed to promote attacking football, to bring out the game's positive side and increase the number of goals. Between 1977 and 86, 9 European Cup finals were played. Nearly all of them ended in low-scoring results like 1-0. The sport was meant to entertain, yet overly defensive tactics were draining the joy from the game, and many believed this decline in spectacle was fueling violence among fans. It wouldn't be far-fetched to say that the Heysel disaster of 1985, where 39 people lost their lives, played a part in pushing authorities to act. One rule, introduced in 1992, changed football forever: the back pass rule. Before then, goalkeepers were allowed to pick up deliberate passes from their own teammates with their hands. You can imagine how this was exploited by teams looking to waste time. While pressing an outfield player could force a mistake, pressing a goalkeeper holding the ball in his gloves was simply pointless. But with the new rule in place, goalkeepers were no longer allowed to handle intentional back passes. If they did, the opposing team would be awarded an indirect free kick from the spot of the infraction. We'll go deeper into the evolution of goalkeepers in later chapters, but it's worth saying now. Before this rule, goalkeepers were judged almost exclusively by their shot-stopping ability. Afterward, a new expectation emerged. They now had to be at least technically capable of receiving and distributing the ball with their feet. In 1997, a new rule was introduced. Goalkeepers had 6 seconds to release the ball once they gained control. In theory, it was meant to speed up the game, but in practice, it was rarely enforced. That changed in 2025. If a keeper holds the ball longer than 6 seconds, the opposing team is awarded a corner kick. It was a decisive move, aimed at curbing time wasting and keeping the tempo of the match alive. And it wasn't the first time a long-ignored rule finally got teeth. Remember penalty shootouts before 2020? Technically, keepers were supposed to stay on the goal line, but the rule was more of a suggestion than a mandate. Then came VAR. Any keeper who left the line early received a yellow card, and missed penalties were ordered to be retaken. The same tightening of the rules applied elsewhere too. In 1998, harsh tackles from behind were classified as red card offences. One of football's greatest strikers, Marco van Basten, had his career cut short at just 28, all because of one reckless challenge from behind. In recent years, technological upgrades have also reshaped football's rulebook. Goal line technology arrived in 2013, VAR followed in 2017, semi-automated offside decisions rolled out in 2023. Each one reduced the margin for error, making the game fairer, more transparent. And then came a subtle but game-changing tweak in 2019. Goal kicks were reinterpreted. Previously, players weren't allowed inside the box during a goal kick. The ball had to leave the penalty area before anyone could touch it. Now, defenders could receive the ball inside the box, opening the door to short, intricate build-ups from the back. But there was a catch. As soon as the second pass was made, attacking players were free to press inside the area. It was a high-risk, high-reward change. It led to more turnovers, more chaos, and yes, more goals. Because football is a game of mistakes. No mistakes, no goals. And ever since the 1990s, most rule changes, directly or indirectly, have aimed to increase scoring. Because no matter how much we love the tactics, the rivalries, the stories, this game needs goals to survive, to evolve, to entertain the next generation. The only thing that never changes is change itself. Heraclitus.